and this is the Nonprofit Corner podcast with your host, Dr. Victoria Boyd. Hi, this is Dr. Victoria Boyd with the Nonprofit Corner podcast. And in just a few moments, we're going to welcome Mary Hiland, Ph.D., who has over 30 years experience in the nonprofit sector. And we're going to talk about board development, but most importantly, we're going to talk about the big giveaway that's on the way. And here we are back with another edition of the Nonprofit Corner podcast. And I'm your host, Dr. Victoria Boyd. And I mentioned my esteemed guest is Dr. Mary Hiland. Hi, Mary. Thank you for coming on the podcast.
Oh, thank you so much for having me, Victoria. I love connecting with you and your audience.
Thank you so much. We have so much going on right now. It's sort of crazy, but I want my listeners first to really get to know you, who you are, because you literally have over 40 years in the nonprofit sector.
I do.
And, you know, we all just didn't wake up and say, I'm jumping into that. Give us a little bit of your background, what led you to where you are today as an author, a consultant. Tell us about yourself.
Okay, thank you. Thank you. Well, you know, I'll start at the beginning, but I'll fast forward because I don't want to take too much time with this. But I'd like the people out there who are thinking about nonprofits to understand that this journey is open to anyone. I got married super young. I was 19 years old, moved to San Jose, California, where I went to college, but I wasn't working. Got involved volunteering with a nonprofit, happened to be a mental health nonprofit. And I got interested in, at that time, volunteer management. Okay. So I decided after getting my BA that I would get a master's in something that would lead me to leadership in the sector. And at that time, social work was the thing with mental health nonprofits. Move forward a little. I was divorced and a single mom pretty early, had a 3-year-old daughter at that time. And I just continued going to school, and where I had volunteered, I ended up getting a job in another nonprofit, but I also did internship. And that turned into an executive director role, which I had in that nonprofit. And then we did 2 mergers while I was an executive director. And we ended up merging 4 nonprofits together. And I was selected by the new board, because we were giving it a new name, to be the CEO. So that was like from the very small beginnings of starting with a nonprofit that was had 6 staff, mostly part-time students like me, all the way up to running a nonprofit with 530 staff and a budget of about 26 million by the time I left. Now, that whole journey was 26 years, and most of that I was the executive. And then I just felt called. You know, I believe in calling. I believe in vocation. I was happy. I loved my board. Everything was going great, but I felt called to do something different. And so I just left. I didn't have a job to go to, but I ended up back in school getting my doctorate, and I focused on boards and executives and their relationship and leadership. And that turned into coaching executives, consulting with them and their boards, helping to build the capacity and the effectiveness of the board. And I've been doing that for 20 years. And so a couple of years ago, I published my book in 21, which was, right, sort of still in the throes of COVID. It's called Love Your Board, the Executive Director's Guide to Discovering the Source of Troubles with Nonprofit Boards and What to Do About Them. And I have my own podcast, Inspired Nonprofit Leadership. And I just feel now I have shifted a little bit in my practice to focus more on empowering the executive to lead with their boards and realize that they can be a significant influencer and a catalyst for board change. They don't need me as the expert so much coming in the room and doing that for them with
Yes.
their boards.
It's and I love the word empowering, because many times I've seen it in different organizations where the board sort of stifles the board executive director and puts that thumb on top of them and, you know, says you can't do this unless, you know,
Right.
we say you can do it. But empowering and teaching executive directors really how I believe it's a relationship that they have
Absolutely.
to build with that board. So it's a mutual respect, because the executive director is there daily. They're
Absolutely
in the grassroots, you know, the day-to-day operations. And if they're not happy, oh, you know.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah, that's so true. And you know, there's obviously models out there for the board executive relationship, but one of them based on research, and it came out a long time ago, was called board centrality, but it didn't mean the board had the upper hand so much, although legally we know the board does.
Yeah.
It was about the executive focusing more on the board, investing more time on the board. And they found that nonprofits that had strong boards with strong executives were the most effective. Absolutely. And that the executive had to invest time, but it was well spent.
Yes.
And, you know, I don't think boards understand how much time it takes an executive to nurture them and develop them. And I don't think executives allow for that time. So it's so important.
And I mean, often boards don't understand their roles and responsibilities, because I also wrote a book called Board Bound Leadership. You know,
yeah.
Yes, it's about leadership because your title is director, but it's also about governance. It's about assessment. It's about fundraising. It's a whole package of what you're technically responsible for, but it's not managing the day-to-day operations.
That's right. That is the key. And I always say that the one rule, you're not managing day to day. And, you know, Tia, I love that you have your book out there. I did finally, after being asked to come in the room and just teach my board what their job is, I developed an online course that taught what I was teaching in the room. So executives, if they got a new board member, they wouldn't have to bring me back in.
Right.
They could if they wanted to, but you know, that cost a lot more than the course does. And the course is available all the time. And it gives the executive, again, that empowering. I can point you to this online course, take it, and that tells you what your job is as a board member. And then the executive and the rest of the board can focus on orientation.
What's the name of the course? Because I'll put it in the podcast description.
Oh, great. It's called Board Orientation Success.
Absolutely. I'll make sure that it's listed when the podcast gets put up. Get published.
Yeah, you know, I just wanted to provide that tool because I saw that
us as nonprofit consultants, you call yourself more a coach. I don't want to be a coach. I want to be that consultant.
Right.
That, you know, but we see that they need tools. And so a part of my commitment to the sector has been to create the tools. And in fact, the Philanthropreneur Foundation, our mission statement is build nonprofit capacity through education, awareness, and resources.
That's right. You're such an important resource for nonprofits, and you offer so much. So that's just, I love that.
Happy place.
Yes, I know what you mean.
The happy place. Yeah. So one other question about what you do with, you know, boards and leadership, the book and things like that. In your day-to-day working with organizations, have you ever had the pushback? And I equate it to, because on many boards there's many business executives, and they bring that mindset, whereas nonprofits are unique, and
Yes.
you have to sort of adopt a different mindset. Yes, you want success, but we measure success differently. So just as have you felt that pushback? Just this is a tip for boards. Listen to the pushback and don't do it.
Okay. Well, I wouldn't say it's pushback, because I think the most important thing when you're working with the board is you've got to tap into why they're there.
Yeah.
And so I always start with, Simon Sinek says in his work, you got to start with why.
Why.
So I always start my work with boards talking about why are you here, and why that you really make a difference. I don't think board members recognize they have a huge impact on the nonprofits they serve. They think, oh, I'm here as a volunteer to provide oversight. And I think that where people with strong business backgrounds maybe push back or try to influence might be in the strategic planning process, where they're bringing a more corporate approach.
Mhm.
But actually, for most of my career, and maybe this is because executives and boards don't bring me in if they don't want to get better.
Okay.
So I'm not a fix this broken board consultant. Okay. I'm a, how can I help you be the best board you can be and the best executive you can be?
Yeah, and but that might totally be true because of your messaging, how you're,
yeah.
Are you ready
yes.
to grow?
Yes. Do you want an engaged, effective board? That's really the question. And I think that those are areas where executives are really challenged. I mean, right now I'm working on board engagement, developing a new program around that called Board Engagement Success. It's not out yet, but because I hear that board engagement, board member engagement is a big problem right now for executive directors. So
absolutely. I mean, and I think that's a lot of what we do. That's probably why we get along so well. We're
aligned. We're aligned
because we look at where's the gap, where's the need, and we try to fill it. We try to find a solution, in our niche area. We all find that niche and specialty that we get excited about. Google ad grants, not so much getting and keeping the grant, but the website part of it. And we're going to talk a little bit more about that in just a second. We're going to take a quick break because we're going to come back and talk about the Effective Nonprofit Leaders Toolkit giveaway that's coming up. So excited. Okay, we're going to be right back. Nonprofits, your website is your most important asset for marketing, and all roads should lead back to it. Make sure your website is ready for your marketing and your Google Ad grant. Okay, we are back with the Nonprofit Corner podcast. And my special guest, Dr. Mary Hiland. And let me tell you a little bit about Mary. She came up with an idea. Now, I've seen it in the business sector a lot. I've done virtual conferences and participated in giveaways, but there was not one for nonprofit leaders. And you put in a lot of time and dedicated a lot of energy, and you got out there and worked and got some really, really dynamic consultants to team up to put on this event, November 6th through the 26th. I'm gonna turn it over to you and let you explain about the toolkit that we're giving away.
Well, thank you so much, Victoria, and thank you for being part of it. I'm so excited. You're right. I've just been blessed with the quality and the expertise of the consultants and coaches that have come and signed up to give something to nonprofit leaders through this giveaway. So the way this works is we recruit a group of people who have something really powerful to offer, but we tell them they have to give it away free. Now, these are not things that you can get by going to someone's website. These are special, upgraded, whatever, premium gifts that people, in some cases, are creating just for this giveaway. And That's what Victoria's doing. And I've done that too. And this is going to be one website page that's going to list all these gifts. And you can go there and with just one click, you sign up, you download the gift or you get the gift. There are people bringing mini courses. There's all kinds of checklists, assessments. I've got guides there. And there's expert. The thing I love about this is that, yes, we're a nonprofit, but we've got such a variety of experts.
Absolutely.
People that are in helping with the digital aspect of running a nonprofit, not just creating websites, but helping with other problems. People with expertise in strategic planning, people with expertise in fundraising, but all different aspects of fundraising. So there isn't one duplicate gift in this bundle. And there's a couple of people like me that are doing things for you in working with your board to make that work better for you. So I'm just so excited. Now, in order to get this, you need to get a link from one of us, and that link's not available yet right now, but watch
November 6th.
Yes, or even before. What we're trying to put this together so we can promote and let you have the link to go grab these gifts, have the link to go to the Effective Nonprofit Leaders Success Toolkit. And if you're on Victoria's email list or my email list, you will get that gift list, and you just go in there and grab all these free resources. It is hundreds, thousands of dollars worth of resources that are going to be available to you free. So consider it an early holiday gift for you.
Well, I totally love the timing because, you know, it's right before, and I think it intersects with Giving Tuesday. And I call the fall fundraising frenzy season.
Yes, right.
Because you're thinking about all of these things. But more important, people that come and visit the website, they're going to be introduced to all of these experts.
Yes.
Because they're from a national platform. And so if you're from the West Coast, you're going to meet somebody from the East Coast that you might not have had an opportunity to come across. And so it's putting together, I love toolkit of experts and strategies and tools that you can use. That is such a great concept.
And I've gone on and done business, grabbed tools in these business giveaways. But to your point earlier, Victoria, I realized I have not ever seen a nonprofit giveaway.
Yeah.
So, and I think the timing's great too, because Thanksgiving is there. November is the month of gratitude, I like to think. So I feel that this is a way that those of us who've been in the sector a long time, the tenure of these executives, these experts, is really strong, and they've got a lot of wisdom, a lot of expertise to offer you. And this is our way of giving you a gift.
Yeah.
Those of you out there that are working so hard to give to the communities, to make things better for all of us, you deserve some tools that are going to help you do your job better. You don't have to reinvent the wheel on these things. So be sure that you find out about it and, link with one of us so that you get this information.
And I love that you mentioned the wide variety. For example, Matt Hug, who is one of the consultants, he's giving away a package of humor. Come on now.
Oh, I love that. You all need that. We're all committed to balance in the sector, but a lot of us have been there as executives ourselves, as you heard in my story, and we know what you're going through, and we know how hard it is for you to balance your commitment and drive and overwhelm, frankly. But we also know that you've got to step back and take a break. And you're going to get this great gift from Matt that's going to give you a chance to laugh and smile for 30 days worth. I think he's got 30. I don't want to speak and misspeak.
Yeah, I've been just looking at some of the giveaways, like you said. they're such rich tools, or
Yes.
the depth of what you're getting. And yes, we always say invest in yourself, invest in professional development, invest in the organization. Okay, your time has value. So take
Yes.
the time out and invest in looking at these toolkits. They're all free. Why not download all of them?
That's right. That's right. And you, after the 26th, they'll be gone.
Right.
So, you don't want to lose out on that. And again, you don't have to read them or start with all of them all at once. You can pick the things that are most relevant to you. I would encourage you to make a list of what you've downloaded so you don't forget. Have it
Need a
in a
folder with
special
Toolkit.
folder. Right, a folder for Toolkit. And also, the full disclosure here, in order to get these gifts, you do have to give an email address because the gifts are delivered via
Yes.
your email, but you can unsubscribe if you don't want to be on that person's list. But the other benefit of this is that when you get on one of these expert lists,
Yes.
because they're giving in the nonprofit sector, I mean, I'm on people's lists and they're giving all the time.
Yeah.
So you're getting all kinds of great advice and tools ongoing.
Yeah.
So this is not just a one-shot thing. This is something where you have the opportunity to tap into the expertise of people.
And actually build a relationship with this person that really might be of value to you down the road.
That's right.
Like said,
that's right.
You might not need it today, but download them all, put them in a folder, and know that you have them when you need them. But if you let the 26th go by and you haven't downloaded and accessed them, they're gone. They're gone. Okay, gone. Do you have any last words? Just wrapping this up now. I know we can contact you at Hiland Consulting, and that's right. Hiland.
Right. There's no GH in that Hiland. So
yes.
HILAND consulting.org, O-R-G.
Okay.
And if you want to email me to find out more about this or to make sure you get on the list so you get the link, it's Mary@hilandconsulting.org. And I know you can also connect with Victoria. Yeah. Check out my podcast, Inspired Nonprofit Leadership.
And listeners, I'm going to put all of these links in the description for the podcast. It will be on Spotify and YouTube and Apple and Google and all of those different feeds that are out there. We're spread out. And then I also post it on Facebook and LinkedIn. So
great. That's terrific. Well, thank you so much, Victoria. This has been such a great conversation. It's so fun to connect with you. You have so much energy.
Thank you again for coming on. This is Mary Hiland, and this has been Dr. Victoria Boyd with the Nonprofit Corner podcast. And we will see you next time.